Hi, Caspar. On the 26th of January 2018, tasting a white Bordeaux. This is 2010 Clos Nardian, name of which has changed in the last couple of vintages to simply Nardian. Presumably, I think the French authorities came down pretty hard on winery owners that had vineyards they were calling Clos when they didn't have four walls surrounding them. So even I think if one of the walls had tumbled down a bit, they sort of objected to it being called a Clos. So now Nardian, this is a blend of Sauvignon Semillon, and I think there's a bit of Muscatel in it as well. Not far from St Emilion, but this is a Bordeaux Blanc. Let's give it a go. Obviously, 7 and a bit years of age for dry white wine. It's getting on a bit. It has an interesting colour, almost faintly pink gold in colour, and that pinkness slightly worried me when I poured it out. Just that it was almost a touch of brownness about it, which might indicate that it was a bit too long in the tooth. But anyway, let's see how we get on. Obviously quite deep in colour. It's got a fruit nose of dried fruit, sort of dried pear, dried something more exotic, dried mango, dried apricot, some spice here, and it's an interesting nose. I mean, it's got a slightly confit nose that is definitely a sign of uber maturity, I must say. But let's sip it and see. It's got an exotic quality to it that repeats on the palate. A slight sort of tropical fruit note, and that sort of slight, almost marmalade-y jam, sort of oranges in, cooked oranges, and a mango-like, sort of almost green mango acidity that runs through it. It's a fascinating wine, and if I was giving it blind, I'm not sure I'd know what it was, but I quite like it. It's still got a weight of fruit, and it's a lively acidity within that fruit. Almost quite nippy acidity, actually. It's structured, and then almost slightly phenolic, slightly tannic quality to the finish. It's got reasonable length. I'm quite enjoying it, I must say. And this is, by the way, one of the wines from the stable of Jonathan Englishman, Jonathan Maltus, settled in St Emilion, lives at Chateau Tessier. This is his one white wine, and nuttiness, a sort of almost smoked hazelnut. No, or very toasted hazelnut. There's part of that on the nose, and perhaps the beginning part of the palate make you wonder whether it's old white Burgundy, but I think the finish at the back, the acidity of the Sauvignon comes through and takes you away from there, and that lasting sort of zippiness and energy really refreshes the end palate. It's a nice thing. I really like it. God knows what you drink it with. Roast chicken, maybe. It would cope with some pretty big dishes, I think. But I think it's a really interesting wine. There we are. That has been 2010 Clos Nardian, Bordeaux Blanc from Jonathan Maltus, and still hanging in there. It's still a very interesting glass of wine.